Hey everyone, it's me again. Today I got you both the Tenet Glaxion and the Kuva Sobek. And TLDR, they are okay. The Sobek didn't change much, it's just the same as it was, but it's slightly crit viable. But hey, the Sobek's acid shell still working. Boy. Also, it's getting a new augment by completing the Nightwave's missions, and the same thing goes for the Glaxion. And just to let you know, I did stream the process of me getting all of these weapons here on YouTube. So if you are interested, stay tuned to join me in future events. So without further ado, let's take a look on what we have today. Let's start with the Sobek, since it didn't get a lot of love. It got a nice pump in crit chance, making it crit viable, and increased crit damage, and since it's a Kuva weapon, you get an element of your choice. And I highly recommend going for Toxin, so you can form corrosive, viral, and gas. Also, crit multiplier is increased. Overall, the weapon is super nice. The combo of the acid shells and the AoE armor strip with Zaku's gaze or Frost's avalanche, for example, is still working and super satisfying. Boy! And since the weapon is great viable, it can go for viral hunter munition, and the corrosive build is no brainer at this point. And the new augment called Clip Delegation allows you to get 15% status chance and multi-shot after reloading per shot landed with the previous magazine, and this buff stacks up to 15 times, meaning 225% multi-shot and status chance. That is, if you hit all the magazine, of course. This would be nice in viral hunter munition build. Now without further ado, let's take a look at some builds.
Alright, first you need to know that my Zaku has 2 yellow shards for casting speed and 3 red shards for ability strength. Now let's take a look at his build. In the aura, I have brief respite for energy to shield conversion for the added survivability. Prime sure-footed for the last time on your butt, holding off for the 3 seconds of availability and thirst cleanse. Prime continuity to sustain my abilities with duration. Prime flow for the large energy pool. Stretch and rank 4 overextended to increase my range up to 220%, and to counteract the negative strength from overextended, I have transient fortitude over secrets and able intensify to give me a complete armor strip on my gaze with 203 strength. In the arcanes, I have arcane tempo for the juicy 90% fire rate and arcane energize for large energy replenishment whenever I pick up an energy orb. For my Sobek, I have the acid shells. Shut up all this. And this is the build. Primary Merciless for the stacking base damage multiplier, crit chance, crit damage, status chance and gun CO, multi-shot, a cold mod that will combine with my toxin element, which is the progenitor, form viral, prime cleanse of Kunir to multiply my damage toward the faction, and acid shell itself, and extra fire rate. If you want to use a normal viral hunter munition build, you can use this. The only difference is I don't have acid shells, so I have hunter munition and modus setup for the added static chance and critical chance, and again with merciless. And if you want to use a corrosive build, you can use this. The only difference is I have tactical bomb and prime charge shell. My secondary and melee just for the added utility. I use my secondary only for the magma barrel fusion to give me more dodge speed, and my glaive will be the glaive, and my glaive prime just to kill the acolytes with this build that I am pretty sure you have seen before. My focus crew will be Vazarin for the added survivability with protective sling. Also, you need to know that my helmenth on Zaku is in snare to group up enemies inside my gaze.
We saw the Sobek and it was interesting. Now let's see what the Glaxion has to offer. In comparison with the Glaxion Vandal, the Tenet offers way more base damage if you take the progenitor's element into consideration. A nice crit chance and crit multiplier buff. Also, the Tenet Glaxion is way better in terms of status chance, since it has a nice, juicy, lovely 40% status chance. Yippee! In terms of the progenitor, I recommend 3 progenitors. Pick what you feel nice for you. First, I went with electric so I can form viral and electric with 1 toxin mod, and this would be paired with hunter munition so the weapon can use electric and slash DOTs. And this is happening because of the element priority, meaning the innate element combines with your modded elements with the priority of HCET, meaning the heat takes priority, then cold, then electric, and finally toxin. So if you have electric and cold and you add a toxin mod, the toxin will combine with cold leaving the electric free. Rather than that, you can go magnetic or radiation, both of them work, and you get to keep the cold element in this case. For primer purposes, meaning applying as much status effect as possible, go for toxin or magnetic. But for damage purposes, I really recommend going for radiation, especially for the new murmur units. Also, this weapon is getting a new augment too, called photon overcharge, that allows it to get 90% critical damage, pretty much like bladed rounds. But there is a bonus. Each enemy killed has a 2% chance to drop energy orbs per cold status effects. I'm not quite sure if you must kill with the Glaxion or any other weapon, but at this point I don't care, to be honest. Keep in mind that the Tenet Glaxion has the ability to chain to 4 enemies, and Punch Through allows it to chain to more enemies, and no, it cannot compete with the Incarnate Droid. So without further ado, let's take a look at the builds.
Hey, before we go anywhere further, why don't you hit that like button? It will help me a lot. And why don't you take it a step further and smash the subscribe button? Thank you in advance. Alright everybody, before we go to Saren, first you need to know that she has 2 yellow shards for casting speed to replace natural talent, and 2 green shards to increase my maximum corrosive stacks up to 14, which is a complete armor strip. Alright, let's see how I've built her. I have brief respite for energy to shield conversion for the added survivability. Once again, prime sure-footed for less stam on your butt, prime flow for the large energy pool, rolling out for the 3 seconds of invulnerability and status cleanse, prime continuity to sustain all of my abilities, and overextended to increase my range. Blind rage paired with armor intensified to give me 183% ability strength. I'm using dual augments, where one of them happens to be Venom Dose to give me the corrosive element on my weapon, and Contagion Clouds for the added damage with the Toxin Clouds formed by the killed enemies when Toxic Lash is active. In the Arcane slots, I have Arcane Energize for the large energy replenishment whenever I pick up an energy orb, and Arcane Acceleration for the juicy 90% fire rate whenever I crit. Now let's take a look at my Glaxion. Also, you need to know that my helmenth is Zada's Whisper. Now let's take a look at my Glaxion's build. You need to know that my Glaxion is Electric Progenitor. This is the first one, by the way. In the Arcane slot, I have Primary Deadhead, I have Crit Chance, more Crit Chance, Crit Damage, Radiation, and Prime Bane of Grenier, Multi-Shot, Gun CO, and Status Chance, Infected Clip to form Viral and leave the Electric alone. And I'm a Mutation, again with the utility weapons and Precision Focus School. My other setup is with Lavos, since I can form Viral without even modding for it or having Urish. So let's take a look at his build. First, you need to know that I have no Arcane Shards, obviously, and my helmet is Zada's Whisper once again. And now let's take a look at the build. In your eye, I have Corrosive Projection to reduce the enemy's armor. That is because I don't have the Emerald Shards. If you have the Emerald Shards, use Enemy Radar. It will be way beneficial, but in my case, I'll stay with Corrosive Projection. Prime Sure-footed for less on you, but if you want to rely on this passive, use whatever Exilus you feel like, maybe Power Drift or Vigilante Pursuit or Enemy Sense, doesn't matter. Narrow-minded for duration to sustain my Zada's Whisper and increase my status duration, obviously, but we don't care about this term. Precision Intensify to increase my void damage. Will reach and stretch to counteract the negative range from narrow-minded. Valence Formation, the augment that will allow me to form Viral without even modding for it, by holding the first ability and the second ability, then casting any of my first 3 abilities. Swift Bite to reduce the cooldowns on my abilities with my first ability whenever I hit multiple targets. Adaptation for the added survivability since it's a health tank build. Arcane Blessing to increase my maximum health, and Arcane Acceleration for the juicy 90% fire rate. Now let's see how I built my Glaxion. First, you need to know again that this is my second Glaxion with a Radiation Progenitor, so I can keep the cold and mod for corrosive, and I get the viral from Valence Formation and void damage from Zada's Whisper. And the build is still the same technically. I have Deadhead, Galvanized Go, Bane of Grenier, Aptitude, Chamber, and corrosive mods, crit damage and crit chance. and imitation of course, again with the same utility weapons and the same focus cool for no reason. Use whatever you want. All of the loadouts that you have seen in this video will be paired with my Panzer Volpophyla with this build. I have Synth Fiber and Synth Deconstruct to allow my cat to drop health orbs, and I can pick it up with Synth Fiber and give the cat some armor. Reinforced Bond to increase my fire rate, and this will be satisfied by calculated redirection. Tenacious Bond for the added 1.2 times final critical damage multiplier, and this will be satisfied with Bite. Mars Symbiosis for the Wawachiwan moments, and Viral Quills to allow the cat to spread viral procs on the enemies for the added damage. Panzer's Revolution to save the cat, just allow it not to die. If you don't want to use the Panzer, feel free to use the WARFRAME Prime with this build that you have seen multiple times, and use a Velclock with this mod, and also add the Vigilante mods for the added critical tiers. I know you'll love red crits.
And that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, learned something new. Please consider subscribing, it's free, you can always change your mind. Also drop a like, it's very appreciated. Stay tuned and see you all next time in the next video. Bye bye.